been amazed over the years when I was a caseworker at the different situations that I encountered with individuals that never thought that they would end up in a DHS office applying for SNAP.
At the top of the show, we showed you just how big Oklahoma's food insecurity problem is. We're 10th in the nation with more than 123,000 people who are food insecure in Oklahoma County alone. It's a major problem impacting Oklahoma's children, Oklahoma's future. And now we're introducing you to the real people who are seeing this issue every day.
We have a lot of kids in here.
Meet Marilyn Long.
Their parents are not able to cook dinner for them, or they're working long hours to support the family.
She runs the Northeast Resource Center Feeding House.
So we bring them in here to get them a good hot meal.
Long sees firsthand how families are struggling and their children are left wondering when their next meal will be.
Those that are working, they are making the minimum wage. And it's a struggle for them to just keep food on the table for the kids.
Those children, just one reason Long started her mission, offering a hot meal for anyone.
There was times when I didn't have anything to eat, and I would just drink a lot of water to fill me up.
She says that's a feeling no child should endure.
I have a client. She's working very hard, but it's a struggle for her with 5 kids. Just to keep meals there for them.
The people who come here could be your neighbors.
Sometimes this area can get jam-packed. They like sardines in a can here.
Or the student sitting next to your child in class.
We got people that got great jobs, homes, cars, but they are still struggling with not enough food, not enough money to keep food on the table.
And while thousands of children in Oklahoma are worried about where their next meal will come from,
we got fish.
Marilyn Long hopes her message will help.
Any of us can look in the mirror and we could be one of those people too.
I'm now joined by the Secretary of Human Services and Early Childhood Initiative, Steve Buck. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Let's get right into it. Statistics show that 1 in 4 kids in our state experience food insecurity. We actually have the 10th worst ranking in the country. How did we get here?
So food insecurity is a very complex thing, as you know. If you look at a lot of the conversations that have come out in the Tulsa community, for example, there's been a lot of conversation in North Tulsa regarding food deserts. And in fact, in Tulsa, they've actually implemented some local policy regarding expansion of certain types of venues because of the lack of fresh fruits and vegetables that might be available. Food insecurity is really complex, and it is an issue that has to do with poverty, certainly, but it also has to do with availability of resource, some of the pressures that we put on families as far as their ability to sit down and have a prepared meal. All of this is part of a very, very complex conversation.
These are children here in Oklahoma. It's heartbreaking to hear the stories that some kids, they may not know when they're going to get their next meal. What will it take to change things, to turn things around?
Well, first of all, we should be very complimentary of some of the innovative solutions that have begun to occur to make sure that we're addressing that problem. There are many schools, for example, that will send a backpack home for the weekend that will include good sustenance, healthy foods that is available to the child and the family. So there have been a lot of really nice community resources that have rallied around this. I think an important element is, and we all owe this obligation as members of the community, is to make sure that we are demonstrating good food practice ourselves. I mean, it's very easy to swing through the convenience store and pick up the bag of Cheetos, right, or whatever the case may be. But we all need to be very mindful of the types of food that's being consumed. That's an important part of the idea of security. But then also to be good advocates within our local communities of charitable support, whatever it might be, to make sure that we're getting those resources available. And then most importantly, it's the ability to make sure that we advance conversations to make sure that healthy foods are available across the community, not just in specific pockets.
It has to be part of the conversation.
It has to be a very comprehensive community conversation. Certainly there's federal participation in how we might provide vouchers for healthy food. There's state participation in how we might help direct those resources. And certainly it's a community solution level that's an opportunity for communities to rally around and find unique ways to address that.
We have a lot of topics we want to cover, so let's talk about child homelessness as well. Oklahoma has one of the highest rates of child homelessness. What is your agency doing to try and change that?
So you think across the cabinet, in the state of Oklahoma, and recently in Governor Stitt's administration, we've created this specific cabinet for human services and early childhood initiatives. So included in this particular cabinet are agencies such as the Office of Juvenile Affairs, which I have the management responsibility for on a daily basis, DHS, the Department of Human Services. They are uniquely embedded in our cabinet. Our agencies deal with kids who have been in out-of-home placement to a large degree, child welfare, kids who are involved in the juvenile justice system. And we know that for those young people, as they emerge from our systems or get later into the years, they will often end their participation with the state without having a good home. And what I can tell you is from our agency standpoint, we know that there has been a lot of work done on transitional housing opportunities and very specific housing development to make sure that those people who are state custody involved don't discharge from the state into a non-safe, non-home type setting. And you know statistically, specifically in the adult population, the presence of mental illness and untreated addiction in the homeless population is very, very significant. And so in that community, there is very intensive effort in developing housing initiatives to make sure that affordable supported housing is available for people recovering from addiction or experiencing mental illness. I think of one great community example. The Mental Health Association of Oklahoma has done a tremendous job of building really accessible, well put together, safe environments for independent housing. And again, much like we did when we talked about food insecurity, the community is full of organizations that have played an incredibly valuable role in helping seek solutions. The Homeless Alliance here in Oklahoma County, for example, very, very vibrant group that has worked with shelters and with other organizations to make sure that we're doing what we can to address this. All of this comes back to this issue of children homeless. We see far too many media reports of kids who are in the back of their cars and coming to school. That is a problem that we have a solution for, but we're going to have to work creatively to get there. And part of it is developing an accurate count.
And these kids are our future.
They are.
So they're going through this at a young age. What has research shown when it comes to child homelessness and how it impacts a child later in life when they're an adult?
So it's hard to look specifically at homeless. There's a conversation that is really driving a lot of what we're doing in the state, known as adverse childhood experiences. ACEs, as they're frequently called in the field. ACEs are events that impact a person, and in this case we're talking about young children, that are detrimental and contrary to what healthy development might be. Not having a safe home would be an adverse childhood experience, whether that is a home with violence, whether that's a home where nutrition is not being offered, or not having a home at all. That would create an adverse childhood experience. Untreated mental health and addiction. Family members who may be locked up and incarcerated. All of those pull into these adverse childhood experiences, and the literature is profoundly clear that young people who do not have the opportunity to have those ACEs prevented and then early intervention, their long-term outcomes are not as healthy as it would be for the general population. And it's really profound. It is not just a mental health indicator, it is also a general health care indicator.
Let's talk about health care and health insurance, because more and more children in our state don't have health insurance. In fact, 80,000 are uninsured right now. How does that compare to other states? So
comparatively, we are behind other states in the insurance rates. That is something that has been studied and has been articulated. And one thing I should point out, when you look at that 80,000, the data I've seen suggests that about 35 or 40 of those 1,000 youth would actually be categorically eligible to participate in Sooner Care. So there is a insurance vehicle that's available for them, but from not being able to avail themselves to the right information and referral, whatever the case may be, they have not been engaged in that health insurance. And I was going to continue to talk about that. I'm really excited as Governor Stitt's administration has stepped in and he's begun to look at this. There's been a lot of chatter about expansion of Medicaid, That's been out there. Well, it's premature to speak about it just in that context. I think what's important for the state is that we begin to take strides to develop an Oklahoma solution to meet the needs of these young people.
So you said there are resources available for people who are eligible but may not know that. So where should we direct them?
So 211 is always a great connector, right? Within our communities, 211 is a vibrant resource that's spread throughout the state. That's always a good place to connect people. The Oklahoma Healthcare Authority, which operates Sooner Care, has a very robust robust website that will help people understand their eligibility and how to access those services.
And we can't forget about our rural communities.
Without question.
What's being done to bring better health care to families in rural communities as well?
Well, so Oklahoma is very, very fortunate. We have two outstanding medical schools, University of Oklahoma Medical School and the OSU Health Sciences Center in Tulsa. I know specifically the Oklahoma State University Health Sciences Center is making a dedicated effort to make sure that they are producing primary care physicians who can serve throughout the state of Oklahoma. It's very intensive in the recruitment area. I also know Oklahoma's fortunate we have terrific community health centers that are spread throughout the state, and those are excellent points of access for service.
Certainly a lot of work still to be done
There
that
is.
needs to be done for our children here in Oklahoma. We thank you for shedding some light on it and spending some time with us talking about it. We also wanted to let you know that we do have resources listed on our KOCO mobile app right now.
For children to succeed in school and the workforce, they need to be healthy. When parents get covered, they're more likely to get their children covered.
Healthcare is considered a luxury to some Oklahomans. We look at just how bad the problem is in the Sooner State and the resources available.